Hello, everyone. We should be live by now. Nice to meet you, and happy to be here. We are here today with Regina Valenzano, project manager at Project School, and Luigi Della Sala, creative director and co-founder at Project School. And I'm Matteo, and I'm partnership manager at Project School. The three of us are part of Project School team. We are here today to talk about empathy, both as a concept, as a human skill, as a human attitude, and as a project. Empathy is one of the projects that Project School is implementing right now, and it's being implemented by together with four other partners all across Europe. I would say that we can start, and I would like to start and ask Regina and Luigi, what is empathy for you in your life, and what's the importance of it? Who wants to start?
Regina first. Go, Regina.
Easy question, Regina.
Yeah, of course, starting easy. And I think empathy for me is not to have my own measurement and to keep everything, like to understand people, not just with my meters of judgment, try to like put myself in their shoes and see how they're feeling and why they're feeling that way, and try not to be influenced by what I'm feeling at that moment, but really trying to understand the other person.
Okay.
The answer is pretty good. She put me in a difficult position now.
No, you can't beat that, Luigi. So
Yeah, indeed. I will try, but I'm not sure I will succeed. What is empathy? Look, while thinking about how to the answer to this question, I thought that for me, empathy is actually it's actually an issue in the sense that sometimes I'm too much driven by it somehow. In the sense that the sensitivity towards the other, let's say, and the possibility to put myself in the shoes of the other, it has been something, to be honest, that I always felt naturally, and I didn't choose actually to feel or to have. And it has been something that somehow accompanied a little bit my life and my development, at least in the last 10, 15 years, actually, since I was very, very young. And I discovered this casually. I discovered this by the fact that I was feeling pain when someone else close to me was actually feeling pain. And it was not a choice. It was very, very difficult for me to manage. Because at the beginning, I was thinking that I would manage it by simply helping the others. But empathy is not like that. I came to discover after. So it has been something that it has been a feature, I would say, of my mindset and character, and something that I had to deal with for all my life, I would say.
when was the last time that you empathized with someone deeply?
That's actually a very difficult question. I think that I empathize with my wife. I think I empathize with my wife when sometimes she has some problem at work, let's say some issues, gender related above all, and I think that I empathize with that, I would say.
Okay. What about you, Regina? When was the last time that you empathized with someone?
I try to do it all the time. Sometimes it's hard not to get confused on what it's empathy and what's actually, trying to be polite and try to understand someone, especially at work, because also the work depends on the success of that relationship. But it's not really empathizing, but like truly, like deeply trying to connect with someone and trying to understand their feelings. I think, at least for me, it gets into I need to know that person somehow. So I do it with my friends, I do it with my girlfriend. But I feel it. I'm not so driven by empathy as Luigi, not so naturally. So I don't feel like empathy is straightforward towards strangers. It's like something that builds up as building the relationship.
Mm-hmm. And is it something that you can activate? You can work on it, or is it totally natural?
I think it's both. Like it comes naturally somehow, and also, or at least for me, I feel more empathy towards someone not necessarily because of a logical reason, just because somehow I connect with that person. But you can also train that. I think it's also a disposition. Like you want to feel empathy, or you want to have like an attitude towards the world or towards other people that puts you in an empathetic stance. So it's something you can train, but you also put yourself in a way. I think. I don't know, Luigi.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I think that it is an attitude, first of all, that you can find in some person and not in everybody, I would say. It comes as well maybe by living certain experiences. I think that the person who feel empathy and they are able to somehow manage it and apply it are also those one who lived a lot of different situations in their life. They had different experiences, so for them it's actually easier to put themselves in the shoes of someone else because maybe they had those shoes already in the past, and this helped them a lot. So I think that it's a predisposition for sure, that can change according to the experiences that you have. But I also agree with Regina that it's something that you can train because, in a way, as I said before, I felt it natural, but I had to work it out to make it become empathy. At the beginning, it was just will to help someone else, or even sometimes will to share the pain of this person without really thinking about the empathy, but rather understanding the pain of this one close to me to understand my pain. And this is not empathy. It's a different thing. It's working out your own pain. So I think that it's both. It's surely a predisposition, and there are people for whom it's easier to develop empathy, but it's surely something that you can train if you know it very well. And I'm experiencing this in my life because once I understood that what I was feeling it was not empathy, I try to understand the concept of empathy and to apply it after little by little. And I am somehow trying to do this every day. There are moments in which I succeed and moments in which I don't. But I see this. I see that it is possible to work on it, I would say.
Okay, cool. And so it must also be something, since it is something that you can learn, it must also be something that you can unlearn. You can learn to be less empathetic. Is there a situation in which you're not able to empathize for you guys?
It's also different in the sense that something is, I mean, there are cases in which I am not able, but there are moments which I can't. In the sense that what I mean is that those one that you are not able is that you might want to work on it and to improve it. For example, it's very difficult for me to empathize with sometimes is people affected by disabilities because it is something so far from me in a way that I consider so far from me that I perfectly understand them. I want to spend time with them. I want to understand them, but not necessarily want to empathize with them. It's a different thing. So in those cases, I would like to try to apply empathy in these cases because it will enrich my life. It will make me a better human being. But there are others in which I can't because of a choice. For example, I cannot sympathize or empathize with violence because I'm scared of violence. Physically, physically, since I was a kid, I was not this kind of person that would, like punch people. Or it's not that there are people around punching other people, but there might be, moments in which you grow up, above all as a man, I would say, in which this can happen. I was always scared of this, and I was never ever able to empathize with the physical violence, I would say. But in this case, it's a conscious choice. I don't want to empathize with that because it's ugly. It may bring me sufferance. So I don't want. So
You,
it really
you,
depends.
it is maybe worth noticing that we only spoke about empathizing with uh, not very nice feelings, but you can
It's
actually,
true.
and it's not necessarily easier to empathize with happy feelings. Uh,
Absolutely. But maybe more difficult.
yeah, it is. And so yeah, is there, maybe that could be, Regina, a moment in which you can't empathize? I'm not referring to anything in particular. They're just random assumption, but I don't know.
I think for me
Oh,
it's more
sorry.
like how I feel.
No, sorry,
No,
carry on. Sorry.
that it's not really. I mean, yes, of course, there are some things I don't want to empathize with. in general, it's similarly to what Luigi said. There's not many negative things, but especially with happy feelings, it's probably I can't empathize when I'm not feeling myself. I'm not in a good place. I think empathy needs to start when someone is feeling like, oh, it starts when you're really feeling in a good place with yourself. Like, of course, you can be sad, you can be happy, and that changes it from day to day. But in general, it's like feeling good about who you are. And then if you feel like that, then you can empathize with someone, both in a positive and negative way. But when I'm not feeling good with myself for whichever reason, then I find it harder to empathize, not because I'm unlearning it, but just because I'm not in a place where my disposition is open to empathize with other people. So I need to take care of myself first.
Yeah. So maybe now could be the time to start talking a little bit about the empathy project, which was born on this attitude, on this skill. It depends on if you believe it can be trained or not, and it is now implemented by Project School together with 4 other partners. It is actually an acronym, empathy. The actual title of the project is Empowering Migrants, Promoting Inclusion via Capacity Building and Communities Engagement. And guys, do you want to say something about this project? How is it going? How come we're working on it? Are you having fun? Do you think it's a good thing happening in the world?
I can't comment on how the project started because I was not there when it started. So I think Luigi will will share the story. But I think in general, like I was going right now, I think it's going well. Of course, we are experiencing some challenges due to COVID situation and in general like challenges that comes with any project. I think all in all has been managed now in a good way. So we hope to meet all the other partners in real life again. But yeah, so far so good.
What is this like? Very very briefly, what are the basis and the framework of this project? Maybe Luigi can tell us a little bit. Can go about how the project was started and how the project was born and where is the why of this project, the reason why.
Can I go? Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Well, that's like every project that is born, that is generated here at Project School. It's something that is really, I mean, not always, but it starts with a personal thing, I would say. At least those ones that are designed, let's say, those ones that have been designed in the last couple of years. And this was linked to a very specific experience that I lived. I live in Brussels, in Belgium, and when there were the terrorist attack here in Brussels, it was the 2015. It was March, either the 12th or the 19th. I don't remember the date right now. I think it was the 12th. The 12th March of 2016. There were this terroristic attack, one on the subway in Malbec and another one on the airport, the Zaventem airport. And it was something that touched really the city because these were that subway and the airport of the Zaventem airport are among the few places that are really common places for everybody in Brussels because the airport is central, everybody travels here, and that subway there as well is pretty relevant, and that stop there is really in the heart of European District, which is maybe not a place where everybody go, but still it's very common in the city. It's really in the center of the city, let's say. And it was ugly. We felt very ugly in that situation, in that moment. And there are all personal stories, people that didn't take that metro for a second, or so on and so on. And we were sharing this. And a few months or a few weeks after, I was actually sharing a brunch time with some friends. We were all expat, basically, which is pretty common here in Brussels. So people coming from different countries based in the European Union, and working around, let's say, the European institutions, so perfectly inside the European bubble, I would say. And I don't know why, but we ended up talking about the suicide bombers. So these people that decide to, I don't know, blow themselves up or kill themselves for killing as many people as possible, which is something pretty much common, not really that much in Europe, but rather in the Middle East or in the country, in Arabic countries, or anyway in Muslim countries, let's say, in countries of Muslim, where there is Muslim religion, let's say, or where there is conflict anyway. I don't know how we ended up talking about this. And I said a very simple sentence that for me was obvious. And I said, imagine, as most of the time, the suicide bombers are kids, really. They are very young. They are between, I don't know, 13, 14 years old until 17 and 18. And they are sort of brainwashed a little bit, in the sense that, in a way or in another one, these terrorists are able to involve and engage them by somehow touching on some of their weaknesses, probably isolation or other situation like that. Not necessarily poverty, I would say, maybe also sometimes poverty, but it's more about isolation and lack of identity, I would say, of these people. And I happen to have a brother as well who is very young, he's 19 years old, and I was thinking about a person like him. He was a kid at the time, and it's difficult, I think, for a kid to find an identity nowadays, a positive identity nowadays, because the world is changing. There is this globalization, everything is very quick and fast. It's very, very difficult to find the elements for building up a positive identity for a kid today. And I was saying this simple sentence. I said, imagine the pain of this kid who decided to become a suicide bomber and decide to blow himself up. And I was trying to focus, of course, not on the act itself, which is a terroristic act and need to be condemned and punished, of course. But I was rather thinking about the fact that a kid like that, it cannot actually decide autonomously or consciously to do something like that, I believe, or at least that's my belief. And when I say like that, there was like a few seconds of silence, and then a guy looked at me and he said, "You are actually justifying terrorists." And I say, no, look, it's not like that. I'm saying another thing. I'm looking at it from a different point of view. And after, it was impossible to finish the discussion because I had to necessarily play the part of the, I don't know, the guy who was able to, I don't know, justify the terrorist because he didn't want to accept that there is bad in the world. And I say, look, but there are bad people in the world. I'm just saying that these are kids most of the time. I don't think that a kid, honestly, would have, it will born with such an idea in mind. And I might believe, I say, that my brother, if I don't give him enough positive elements for believing in himself, he could actually do the same pretty much. And you know what? I could have done the same when I was a kid. If you wouldn't give me positive element of identity, if you wouldn't make me believe in something nice, let's say. And then a discussion was born, and we ended up like a little bit in a, let's say, in a very tense environment. The discussion was finished in a very tense way, and I came back home and I couldn't stop thinking that we lost actually our capacity to put ourselves in the shoes of the others. And I had this word empathy coming to my head, and I'm being very honest here. You can believe it or not believe it, but what I did is that the day after I woke up in the morning, I remember I was not anymore in Brussels because we moved to Netherlands for that period of time, for 6 months, because my wife had a job there. And I just wrote on Google empatia in Italian, then empathy in Italian, and an entire word popped up. And basically, I found the Empathy Museum in London, which I actually invite everybody to go to see on their website or even on YouTube. Just click Empathy Museum London. That they organized something amazing using the power of art for stimulating an empathy in people. There was one particular thing that made me even cry. It was very moving. That they built up outside of the Tate Modern, if I remember well, in London, a big shoebox in which you would enter. People will give you a voice recorder that you could listen a voice basically, and you could wear the shoes of a person. You would work for a mile. The exhibition is called A Mile in the Shoes, and you will have the voice of this person talking, and this person is the same who used the shoes that you are wearing. And most of the time, these are stories of prejudice, of violence. For example, I don't know, a prostitute who used those shoes in a specific night, or for example, I don't know, a migrant doing the, I don't know, going on a boat through the Mediterranean Sea to try to leave his or her country. So history of pain, sufferance as well. And people were touched by this. They were actually crying while listening this, because the only act of putting and wearing the shoes of this person was actually relating them much more with this person. I found this banal even, no, but very, very moving. And then I decided, okay, let's try to make a project out of it. And we started a very long road, because we tried to submit the project like 4 times, and it never went through. We were never funded. We were receiving very positive evaluations all the time, but we couldn't beat the competition. And the last attempt we tried, and we didn't make it, actually. I have to be honest with you, we didn't. But the commission, after a couple of months, decided to add the budget to the specific call, which is something that sometimes happens, at least to the luckiest one. And we were among the first in the reserve list, basically. And then we got funded. So it was really destiny. And it's also a proof of how much you need to effort sometimes for doing things and for having success, let's say, in this sense. So it's a really particular story, very personal. We believe that personal is not negative, and you should put a little bit of personal in your professional, because it adds energy. If I wouldn't have this specific episode linking me to empathy, first of all, I will probably not even generate the project idea, and for sure, I will never try for 4 times to get funded, because I will stop at some point and I will
Yeah,
think.
it's a very good point. It's a very good point.
So that's the
So
power of personal, let's say.
yeah, and now empathy is in its at the end of its second year. It started at the end of its first year. It started in January 2021. Partners of the project are Fondazione Empatia here in Italy, and Asociación Babelia in Spain, the Migrant Integration Center of Brasov in Romania, and ProArbeit in Germany. And a little bit, how is it going? At which point are we? What are we trying to do with this? And just to give a snapshot of how things are.
Well, the project, like the declination empathy, we try to implement the projects, like trying to get people of different nationalities coming together and leading pilot community actions in implementation countries, that in our case are Italy, Germany, Spain, Romania. And now we are in the process of where we just recruited the agents of change, which are these young people, being either migrant or not, or national of the countries involved. We are preparing them for after capacity building towards implementing their pilot actions at a local level. So it's in this capacity building, empowering phase, and then there will be like this give back to community phase. There will also be a way to, after this empowerment program, get these agents of change at work and actually trying to change something.
Yeah. Is there any difference between this project and for example, the other 3 projects that we are working on and that have been funded for project school, for example? Is there a specific reason that this project is different?
Well, the partners are always different. So I'll give you my answer, but I think we just a different one. The partners are always different, and also the type of budget is very different. So also our involvement changes, and the people we are working with, also the participants in each country, both in Italy and the other countries, are different. So they bring you something else. So no project's really the same, which might seem something cheesy, but it's actually true. But each one of the projects we're implementing, and I think that's something that's like a common thread. Free Project School tries to bring a positive impact to society. So this project does so by trying to promote a different outlook towards inclusion, which is more like peer-to-peer, more horizontal. Other projects we're implementing, like Open City is trying to bring another vision of urban regeneration, which is more bottom up, and then so on and so forth. Like each one of the projects tries to give something positive, like a give back to the community or to the environment in general in a specific way. Yeah, it's unique in that sense.
I think for me it will be always different because I had this personal story and personal attachment to empathy. So for me it will be always different. And I think that the distinctive element are indeed the fit because it took us a long time to get funded, and it doesn't happen all the time. And sometimes when we have these cases, we just drop and we don't insist. Instead, this time we insisted, and I think that this is a point of difference. And maybe a little second difference is that we really started from analysis of reality, in the sense that the starting point of empathy is that we cannot fight this fact that people close themselves in their own bubbles, no? And this impede empathy. We try really to work with it, with this concept of bubble. So we didn't say we want to get rid of the bubble immediately, or we want to push people out of this bubble. We say that we work with those bubble. Okay, so we believe and we understand that people have the tendency to close themselves in those bubbles where everything is comfortable and where they are not challenged, and we try rather to enlarge a little bit this bubble so that we can put someone else in. But we start with this point of bubble and we understand this. Sometimes when you create a project, you tend to change a little bit the reality and to narrate a different reality. With empathy, we didn't do it, at least at starting point level. After, of course, during the project, we want to change things and make them better. But we made a very strong compromise with reality, I would say, even in the way in which we wrote it. We clarified that this thing of the concept of bubble was something that we wanted to build upon and not to just get rid or pretend that is not there. So maybe this one is a second distinctive element. A third
That's
one
very.
might be, there is even a
No,
third
no,
one.
sorry. Go on, go on.
There is even a third, but then maybe it was really the first one being, being designed very many years ago, that was really in line with a personal why. This was really one of the first cases that I could remember, because sometimes the projects are born as well out of needs of partners, no, for example, or out of priorities, no, identified by organizations. This time it was extremely linked to a personal situation. And from that moment on, we tried to apply this to any single project. And as you can imagine, it took us a while because it's not that obvious. Maybe empathy was the first in which there was really this specific thing of having a connection with the real facts and the real feelings that we felt.
And it is one of the key features now of our method as project school, to start from our personal why, and because projects are more powerful ones, you find that place, and you build projects on that. Guys, to close, to go to some last considerations. What do you think this project is adding to society right now, and if you have any other thoughts about empathy and the empathy project?
Go, Regina.
I was trying to activate the mic. Well, I think it's very hard to define an impact, like trying to measure an impact of an ongoing project. Probably won't even be able to measure it after after a long time. But I think it is having somehow some sort of positive effect on the people involved in these agents of change, for very young people, that the possibility to meet their peers, also in a moment where it's very challenging really to meet other people, and trying to do something, working for a common good, trying to actually do something for society, feeling good also about themselves. It's also an important aspect also of the empathy project. But I really hope it does have a positive impact. Definitely not negative, but I do, and I think it will have a positive impact.
Yeah, I actually agree with her in the sense that it's very challenging to think about the impact of the project while running it. We thought about it, but after reality always change a little bit. Imagine that we wrote this project when COVID didn't exist, for example, just to mention something, or it was not foreseen to happen in this specific way. So this has impacted anyway the project. So I think that what we can aim at, it's really to, we wrote in the proposal and we used this expression of empathy revolution. So the idea is that really we don't really want to push people to think something or not, but really to try to challenge them and make them think that sometimes to put yourself in the shoes of someone else can really be beneficial for you and your life as well. That's probably the ambition that we have, to push to invite people to think about it, as many people as possible, of course, in the four territories where we work, in the four cities basically where we work, which are the territory of Dietzenbach in Germany, Milan in Italy, Brasov in Romania, and Alicante in Spain, to simply make people think, even only, I don't know, for 1 hour or 2 hours, when they will attend some events and when they will hear about empathy. What does it mean, empathy? And maybe reflecting on this kind of question that you posed ourselves today, Matteo, because in the end it's honestly this one, that people reflect on this and understand that the power of empathy in their daily life.
Yeah, and that's what we have been trying to do today. Thank you, guys. I hope that those who have been listening had the chance to reflect on empathy too, and to learn a little bit about what we are doing together with other four partners. Um, See you next time, and keep following us if you want to know more about this project and other projects. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, Matteo.
Bye. Bye.